Hello, hello,
Hey,
hello. Um,
BBSSers
BBSS Nation
and
Rise Up.
noners,
Noners.
non-BBSers.
That's a new term. Love it. Love it. Um, wow. To quote Steven's text that he sent me earlier, this season is seasoning.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we currently have just wrapped up week one, which, as everyone is now aware, is the split studio twist, where we've got our 10 jurors in Studio A and then 10 pre-jurors in Studio B. This rankings video is going to be exclusively talking about our 10 jurors, um, who I will just say are playing like rookies. All of them, all 10. Not a single one did I go, oh yeah, you played this week well. Not a one, 0%. Zero, to quote Faven, 0 out of 10 HOH. Except, I mean, 0 out of 10 of you that played well. Oh, this is what's great about already knowing them. I don't feel bad about just tearing you all to shreds immediately. This is great. No, I think that this is definitely, in my opinion, I'm looking at my scores, might go down as one of the lowest average scores that I'm gonna like give some. I'll be curious to like look back in past weeks, but I am not giving good scores because no one did this well.
It was
Nobody did this
messy.
well. Um, oh, did I copy Faven's name? That's funny.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, no one did this well. Um, yeah, Steven, thoughts?
Um, Messy. That's my thought. And sad, but
Sad.
sad because of who at home. Sad because one player is not getting justice. Sad.
Sad because we could have had, in my opinion, the most epic of karmic blindsides. But we'll get to it all and talk about it. Because I don't know how to score these people. We'll talk about it.
Okay.
Oi. Alrighty. So let's dive in. We are starting off with Amina, who unfortunately was our first boot this week. Um, Amina, I really don't think did for the first part of the week, especially, did not really do anything wrong. She was good at being social. A lot of people really liked her. She had some good tight allies. Simona and Sean specifically really wanted to work with her. I think clearly in the end, Vic and Faven were like very down to work with her. They didn't want her to go. Um, and ultimately, I think she was just one step behind some of these people. She came in as the least connected player, and I think that's why she got the short end of the stick. Um, she put up a good fight. Unfortunately, I think she was barking up the wrong trees because what sucks is the votes were there to keep her. There was a majority of people that would have carried the vote to keep Amina. Unfortunately, Amina kept looping in one or two wrong extra people that were souring the mix to make it seem like none of it was happening. But if Vic, Simona, Sean, and Faven all just got on the same page, and they clocked it too. We'll get to it when we talk to Vic and Faven because they clocked it. Um, I think she could have stayed. So it's like for me, my score this week is a balance of like
I don't know if Vic would have gone against Diego.
I think she concretely would have. Has been operating against him this whole week, not against him in terms of wanting him out, but against him in terms of like Vic is never going to target Diego in my mind, but she by no means is just gonna like fall on her sword to.
But also, I think it's too early for her to start doing that. It was the first eviction, the 20th place eviction. I don't know if she would have gone against him that soon.
Okay, yes, except I concretely watched her go against him that soon and actively fight to keep Amina. So like the proof is in the pudding. She did it.
All right, but she didn't.
But it just didn't come through because no one got on the same page because Diego and Amina and Luke and everything just got a mess. Morgan, yeah, mess. Um, this week for Amina, I considered a three because she gave a good fight, ultimately could have had the votes. However, I also considered a one because I think she actively was her own undoing in the end and was not putting up a strong enough campaign and was just barking up different trees and not the specific right ones. So ultimately, I've come down to a two for Amina. It is really unfortunate to see her go. She is so sweet. I'm so happy that she came back to play, even if it was so short-lived. I'm very curious to see how her decision for this next week is going to impact the game. More on that later. And yeah, it is unfortunately going to be a two for Amina from me.
Yeah, I had pretty much the same thought process between it. Oh, very bright red.
Very bright red.
Well, it should be. You got a two.
Yes,
Um,
new colors just dropped. They wake up new
by
colors.
my suggestion. By my suggestion. Um, I had the same thought process of I was kind of between like three is too high, one is too low kind of territory. And
And incredibly, there's a number between the two.
yes, exactly.
Isn't that great?
So I'm also going to go with that number being two. And I think a little bit of it came down to circumstance. I don't know if that's the right word, but Brandon really didn't want Amina to go. Um, Luke won the veto, was definitely going to change the nominations. Brandon still didn't want Amina to go. Like, I don't think should have caved and put Amina on the block. I think there are people who were actively against him, but he's trying to play. We'll talk about him later, I guess. But he's trying to play um, more calm, collected week going into the merging of the houses. So chose Amina. So I think she wasn't really expecting it. She didn't have all the information to totally save herself, but also that's also her fault. So two from Steven.
Yeah. Sad to see Amina go. I would have loved to see Amina link up with her former season 9 players on the other side of the house, which we are now robbed of, but that's okay. Alrighty. I guess there's no graph to show just yet. So we move forward to Brandon. Alrighty. This happened last season where I 1 week said one thing and then immediately ate my words. Last week, on the draft, I'll admit it, I was playing in Brandon's face. I had no faith. He was my predicted first boot. And in my defense, he was absolutely going to be the first boot. But then he won HOH. And do you know how I'm reacting to his HOH? I know there's a lot of people in this game. I'm looking at you, Diego.
It's so funny when
Looking
you
at
do that
you,
because
Morgan.
nobody can hear the clap, but it's just
That's so funny.
um
Um,
keep going.
I clap and I cheer because Brandon, I'll do it again. I'll do it again. I clap and I cheer because he has so clearly elevated his game. I'm so proud of Brandon. I'm like really happy because here's the thing. Brandon has come into this game. He to like it's no secret, big BBSS fan, really wants his redemption here and really studied what we said about him in the episodes, what we said about other players in the past, and he literally like was on a FaceTime call on his DR and he clocked with me. He was like, "Last time I know that everyone said I was too paranoid, I was making decisions left and right. This season I want to come in, I want to prove to my season 13 people that I've changed. I'm doing different things now and that I want to work and move forward with them. With that being said, I know where the connections lie, both from prior seasons and where these friendships lie within this community. And I need to make sure that I'm cutting off someone, ideally, that is going to be loyal to those people, but not to me, so that I could get them to need to work with me more." And I was like, wait, come on, come on, good strategy. I love it. In addition, when Brandon's been talking to people, he's been so, and I don't, this is gonna sound like shade of like how I described his 13 game, but he sounded so normal and good to talk to and was not spiraling. And I was just so impressed. I think his nominations of Liz and Faven made all the sense in the world for what he was trying to do. The only thing that I wish happened, and I don't fault Brandon for this because it would have been a big swing in week one. However, some people like Simona, who is like really wanting to work with Brandon, tried cluing him in, being like, Brandon, you've got haters from your season. They don't want to work with you. Are you protecting them? And I wish, I'm going to say it, and the people that I'm about to say it about are going to be gagged because they're like, oh, Brandon. Wrong. I wish Brandon put up Diego or Morgan, and I wish they were the first boot. Oh, 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 I said it. I said it. I wish Brandon said, screw you, season 13. I've changed, and you're not giving me a chance. So goodbye, and put one of them up. I think that would have been more fun. However, we didn't get that, and that's still fine. Brandon's gameplay this week, I want to give a decently high score. Brandon's going to have one of the higher scores of the week for me this week. The only downside is, and it sucks because this is not his fault, no one from his season is giving him a chance. And we're going to talk about Diego. We're going to talk about Morgan, Vic a little bit, not as much, but especially Diego, especially Morgan, are like just not even giving him a chance to prove that he's like is more like Brandon has done nothing that is crazy, that is paranoid, that is like he's just been so normal and down to earth. Diego and Morgan are the ones that have spiraled out in a frenzy. So because of that, they've been like spinning him to be this like crazy player that can't be trusted or can't be worked with. And I think he's like more on the outs, unfortunately, because of that. However, I refuse to give him a red score this week because he did not play badly. However, unfortunately, I do not think his position can justify a green score, and that's not his fault. It's the fault of other people. So I'm going to land at a 5 for Brandon, but it's a very positive 5. Brandon, happy for you, King.
Me too. Brandon definitely has the biggest advantage in terms of information. Brandon knows everything that's ever happened to any of these people in the game. He knows what season they come from, how they were evicted, who their allies were, what the vote count was. He knows as going through and researching who people have met up with before, who people are friends with, who people don't like everything. I don't think there's anything about the game that he does not know. So I think that's his biggest advantage going in. I think his worst setback is his reputation from season 13, which is unfortunate. Oh, this is kind of bright.
Listen, you're the one who asked for the color scheme. There's no change in it
I
now.
did not ask. I don't think I asked specifically for this.
You literally did. This is what we had before, and I just made it more detailed. So we're rolling with it now. We've already committed. I'm so sorry.
Oh my god, it's so bright. Uh, I'm giving Brandon a 5 also. I was tempted to give him a 6 just to offset the huge yellow here. Burning my retinas.
Well, yes.
5.
5 for Brandon. Okay. Proud of you, Brandon. Keep up the work.
Some things do change.
Some things do change. Some things that won't change, though, is Diego just having a problem with Brandon. And you know what? After 13, justified.
Yeah, justified.
Justified. But this season, not justified. Second chance. This season is second chances, Diego. Give him a second chance. Yeah, talking about Diego. Okay, so I came into after day one of the game, I was like, wow, you know what? I said in the draft that Diego was my 18th out of 20th pick. I think he's going to flame out and be an early boot and is not going to do well this season. And then in the early days of the season, day one, day two, Diego was killing it socially. Everybody was like, oh, I love Diego. Diego's my number one. Amina said it. Faven said it. Liz said it. Luke said it. Morgan said it. Simona said it ish. And Vic obviously is there. Like that's like everyone except for Brandon, who was working with 13 anyway. And like Sean, who like I don't know where he was this week. Anyway, so he was killing it socially. Everyone loved him. Diego's just such a social, likable person, but I think someone got a little too big for their britches. And I think for whether or not Diego like cares that this is the case or not, I think there's a chance that Diego is just like here to have fun and it's just like living in it and like here and supporting that. But in terms of good gameplay, he made it so obvious that him and Liz are like a ride or die duo. He made it so obvious that he's got an issue with Brandon that people that didn't play with Brandon before are not seeing. They don't get it. And in turn isn't turning people away from him. This whole Amina blow up thing, like he was the root of all that chaos. And I just think it's so funny because like on season 13, like he like hated all like the chaos that like, Darby and Molly were causing and the Brandon paranoia. King, it's you this time. It's you. But not in like a bad toxic way. But it's you. So I'm just like, that's funny. For a while, I was considering giving him the highest score this week. I am certainly far from that now because unfortunately, I think his gameplay has just been messy. Messy.
But snaps to Messi. Snaps to Messi.
Snaps to messy. I love entertainment. It's been fun messy. It has not been toxic messy, and I love fun messy. But because of that, like
Toxic Messi.
toxic messy, not fun. No, I'm looking at you season 11. I'm looking at you season 13, not fun. I'm looking at you season 5, not fun.
Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, so with that being said, I like for me, his social standing, I could have given a 6 or a 7. His gameplay, I could have given a 3 or a 4. And we're in the spirit of like averaging out those scores. I refuse on principle to give Diego a higher score than Brandon this week. Doesn't deserve that. He won't be getting it from me. So I'm going to give Diego a 5 as well.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go for a 5 as well. I think Diego has, in the beginning of the week, set himself up very well with the people he was aligning with. He had Vic and Morgan coming in and has established very good relations with Liz until the veto meeting was close with Luke. Like, very good with lots of people in the house, which was great. Um, I think he was just a little messy, but I don't know. Like, do you think moving forward, if circumstances were different this upcoming week, would he have been in trouble? Like, no. And I don't know if I'm
I
not.
don't think he would have been in trouble, but if the circumstances were different, I don't think he. And we'll talk about the future weeks later. I don't want to like. There's a lot to happen in the episodes and whatnot, but like, I think he would not be in as good of a position as he may be looking to be in. But
Yeah, I just
that's for
don't.
later. That's for later.
I just don't know how much the drama and messiness, how much farther the drama and messiness of this week will affect the rest of the game. I feel like as things start to happen when the houses are fully merged, I think that's the stuff that's going to be impacting people's perceptions and strategies more, less so what happened in week 1. So I think even as much as far as we move away from this, I don't think he's in an immense amount of trouble because there's so much to happen when there's 18 people together. So that's why I'm going with a 5. Um, in spite of his craziness at the end of the week.
I agree with you 90% there. I think there is one asterisk of the messiness of this week is going to bite him in the ass,
You think Simona?
and I think it's Simona. I think Simona came into the season thinking that she was going to work with the Diegos and Morgans and not with Brandon. And then after talking to them both, she was like, oh, wait, Diego's the one being messy. And I don't think that Simona is going to mess that up and target him right now. But I think Simona has absolutely 0% intentions on considering Diego a close number 1 inner circle ally ever because of what happened this week. I think that'll be his blind spot moving forward. I'm excited to see it. Okay.
Faven.
Faven. Happy birthday, Faven.
Happy
Um,
birthday, Faven.
Faven. I love Faven. To quote Faven, she the things that I love about Faven is that she'll just clown anyone, whether or not she's justified or not. Like she'll just say shit. For example, like I mean, when it was Emily, it was like deserved because Emily was making no sense. But like in the middle of Amina's eviction plea, Faven just decided to jump in the chat to go to Brandon. 0 out of 10 HOH. And I'm like, sure, why not? Because sure. Um, Faven for me this week, and this is what sucks. This is what sucks. We're gonna see it with a lot of these players. In my opinion, this week, the players that played smart and rationally and to me gave good gameplay are all the ones that are more on the outs, and all of the chaos that was bad gameplay are all the ones that are linked up in power. So I'm trying to balance like, okay, well, I can't give the good gameplay the higher scores because you're not in the better position, but also I can't give the anyway. So Faven is someone that this week, position wise, wasn't doing too great. She was obviously on the block. Um, I think the only people that she's really got are Vic and Luke. Um,
Two very strong connections, though.
Two very strong connections. However, I worry for all three of their chances moving into this split now. Um, with that being said, the gameplay and like the rationale that Faven was saying alongside Vic, specifically, like in their conversation when they were talking about this Amina vote, were like, this is all miscommunication on Hubbub. Diego's not with us. However, it only takes 4 votes. Faven literally was the one to say, it just takes me, you, Simona, and Sean. And she said it, and I think was talked out of it because everyone else was spinning out of control. But like Faven just like sat back and clocked it and saw it and was trying to push for it lightly, but everyone, it was just such a chaos storm that was thrown up that she just ended up going with the crowd. And I don't think that's bad, but like I think Faven and Vic and Simona, well, Simona's still in a great position, but I think Faven and Vic specifically and Sean would have been in a much, like an incredibly better position if Amina stayed and Liz went. Um, and I think Liz sticking around probably hurt Faven more than it helped her. Um, so all to say, I'm not going to be giving Faven too low of a score because I think her gameplay was good this week. But with that being said, I think of this group of 10, she is more on the outs, and she obviously was on the block this week. So sadly, I hope it changes because I love Faven down, but I'm going to give Faven a 4 this week, and we're going to see where it goes from here.
Yeah, I think even though Faven was my first pick, I think at the beginning of the week I was like, Faven feels like could be first boot legend gone too soon kind of vibe. But as the week went on, and I'd be okay with that. And as the week went on, I think I was like, no, I love Faven. Faven's so fun. I like hearing Faven. And Faven is bringing entertainment in terms of reading people. So that's what I like. Oh, but she was on the block this week, and it's custom that people who go on the block early in the game tend to stake for the block. I don't know if that seal has already been broken for her, and maybe she will continue to go on the block, or maybe she'll escape it because there's 3 other people who have been on the block so far this season. So I'm gonna go with a 4 as well for Faven. 4 Faven.
Or Faven.
This is interesting.
What, these colors?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're the one that proposed it, King.
All right. I said maybe we should go back to something like this, and then you said, okay, it's in there now.
Yeah, because I'm an agreeable person
No, that's not true.
that loves to compromise on things.
Okay, go.
Okay, Liz. Um, Liz is another one that I'm going back and forth on. because again, socially for a while, she was killing it. Everyone fucking loved Liz. She was in it. The turnaround from where she started at 15 to right now, I will say, come on in the game. It's giving some of my favorite like OG stories of like someone who had no idea what they were doing, all of a sudden becoming like a legend of Mastermind. Hooray. Liz is not at Legend Mastermind yet. We're certainly not there. That's not what I'm saying. But we could be on the track there. Um, Liz is in, I think, a lot of the inner circles, which is great, and which is why I initially considered higher scores. But then she went up on the block, and then specifically Diego and Morgan mess campaigned so hard for her to stay. They went so out of their way to make it a whole big stink that there's nothing that anyone could say to get Liz gone. Like, it's just not happening. And I think now a lot of people are like, Liz has got to go. They're all so tight. And if we want to work with Diego, like, we can't keep Liz around. That's what Vic is thinking. Like, that's what that was. Vic is a smart, rational player. She's not going to blindly follow Diego for Liz, especially when it comes down to people that she's close to, like Faven, like Amina, like I don't know. So with that being said, I hate saying it, but Liz easily could have gone home this week too. I can't give her too high of a score, but she's not in the worst spot. I'm gonna be right where I was at with Faven, who was also on the block this week. I'm gonna be giving Liz a 4. I think it will rise moving forward, but like this wasn't a flawless. Like people were just bad this week. It just was not good. The pre-jury is gonna have all higher scores than you. Pick it up, jurors, get up off the floor.
Yeah. Um, Ditto to everything about Liz. I mean, she really started off as the inactive flop season 15, and then won a veto, and then was Legend Mastermind, and then now she's here. So, growth. Snaps for growth. Um, I am going to give Liz a 3 this week. Just, she's on the block. There were high talks about flipping. I think right there, I think that sets in stone a 3 for me. That being said, I think she did form some very valuable connections this week. It's going to be interesting to see how she uses them moving forward. But I'm going to be at a 3. Mm.
It is a 3.5 for Liz overall. Um,
Luke.
Luke. Okay. Okay. All these people are so confusing to talk about because no one played this week perfectly. Luke
Your scores show it.
has gone on such a roller coaster for me this week, where day one, he was being social. I was like, good, Luke is what we wanted. Then Brandon was like, Luke's a huge threat. I'm going to put him up on the block. And if he was on the block next to someone like Liz, like, uh-oh, we saw what happened when Liz went up on the block. Don't love Luke's odds. But then he stayed off the block, and then he won the veto, and he had a bunch of allies. I was like, okay, we're so up. Luke is killing it. Luke's in the best spot. Um, I think Luke fumbled the veto a bit. Um, not with his decision. I think he made the right decision in saving Faven. I think it was the right pick for him. Both optically, it would have looked weird if he didn't save the only person that he knew from his season. He just met Liz. I think he was right that it was a good read on his part that there were going to be people actively fighting for Liz. Whereas if he kept Faven up on the block, there was a chance that I think things flip and Faven goes home, and that would be really bad for him. So all to say, he made the right move in saving Faven. I think what he needed to be was like super clearly transparent with Diego and Liz and like Morgan from the jump, being like, hey, y'all, Faven is from my season. I trust her. I trust y'all too. And I've guaranteed from Brandon that like Amina's going up. I'm letting you know I'm doing this. And I've gotten like, because you have the better shot to stay. Faven's from my season. Optically doesn't look like, I just think he needed to say all that. And instead, he's been a little like, yeah, I don't really know what I'm gonna do. And like, I'm like close to Faven, but like not that close. And like, he's like danced around that this is the idea. But because of that, I think now Diego and Liz and Morgan are like sketched out by him when Luke, truthfully, is totally loyal to them. He's not like playing them by any means. He just wasn't sharing all the info. And it's so stark contrast to how his cast was on 14. Because I think on 14, this dancing around business would have been great and fine. But, Diego and Morgan and Liz come from 13 and 15, which were very bold, just say how it is seasons. So that dynamic was really interesting. And I think Luke kind of fumbled it in that regard. On the whole, a lot of people really like Luke. I think a lot of people really trust Luke. But again, I can't be like, this week was great for Luke because I think people are leaving it a little like, hmm. But I think people do really trust him. He won the veto, which was great. He was able to save. Like, I think Faven or Liz going this week would have been bad for him. So him winning the veto and saving them and having Amina go home was a great thing. But people are sketched out. I'm hesitant to give and like a lot of people any green scores because it's just very up in the air and it wasn't that great. I'm gonna be giving Luke a 5. I'm gonna be giving
Yeah,
him the same
5 is where I'm
Brandon
going to.
Diego.
I'm also going to go for a 5. I love Luke, and he would be on my team if I had the first pick in the draft. But um, I do think winning the veto was right for him this week. There was a point in time where I was thinking maybe it would have been better to throw it to who would have come in second. Do you remember?
Uh it was like Morgan could have won it. Morgan got last because Luke cut her off, but like if Luke went a different way, he could have thrown it to Morgan and Morgan would have won. Um I want to say Diego was close. Was
Yeah, so I
Diego in
guess
the
to
veto?
ensure that
I don't know if Diego was in the veto.
Diego, I don't think Diego was
No,
in.
Diego, in fact, was concretely the only guy not picked. And I remember that being a thing. Diego was not in the veto. I'm Delulu. I don't know what I'm thinking. Continue.
Anyway, I at the end of the day and at the end of the week, I think it's good that he won the veto and saved one of his allies. I think Liz and Diego were upset for a little bit, but I think they're coming back around. And by the end of the week and after the eviction, they're not going to hold it against him, especially because I think they're going to be looking for people to work with as the season moves forward. And Luke is and was and kind of still is trying to reach out to them. So I'm going to go for a 5. I like Luke, so 5.
Nice. Morgan.
Morgan.
Morgan. Ugh. Morgan, like that's bestie for real. I don't know what the fuck she's doing. She has come down with Diego syndrome, with Diego Delulu syndrome as well. Or maybe Diego's come down with Morgan Delulu syndrome. Either way, they're just playing into each other's Delulu. Um, and it's not helping either of them. At least Diego really had the numbers and the allies to back it up. But specifically in this jury group, like Morgan did not. And she like was like good at talking to people at first, which is great. However, it definitely was not the season 13 effect where it's like Morgan was great at talking to people and Morgan was just in. Like Morgan was not just in this time. Um, people clock her as a threat. Um, and I think this overt chaos of like speaking out against Brandon and really fighting to keep Liz and do all these things, and she's so paranoid about Luke and whatever. I'm like, Morgan, you're being what you're saying Brandon is. And newsflash, Brandon's not the problem. It's you. It's you. Um,
Baby, it's you!
um,
See, if I had a soundboard, I would need to sing that.
so yeah, the good news for Morgan is coming out of this week, when the houses merge, a lot of Morgan's people are currently on the other half. And if they make it over to her here, I think she's going to be in a much better position. With that being said, I'm not judging scores on what might happen. I'm judging scores on what did happen. And she was a little chaotic this week. And granted, that's what she said she was going to do in the beginning of the season. However, chaos, unless it's really like planned chaos, like, a Dalton Mira Brett situation of season 12, it's not going to get super high scores from me. So I'm debating between two things. I see what I have locked here. I am gonna go with what I have locked down. I'm gonna be giving Morgan a 4.
Hmm. I feel like that's a nice middle score for people who are mediocre and people who have made a huge mistake. I feel like 4 is like the middle ground for all of that. So I'm going with a 4 as well. Well, I couldn't fit my whole name in here.
I mean, you can do it, but it's gonna be really small. We have 20 people to fit. I'm sorry. There you go. Oh, that looks so bad. Why you gotta make my name
I
small?
could get rid of my name? What the fuck? Anyway, I'm going with a 4. Morgan, you liar. I saw you at both of those competitions this week.
Yeah, well, because I'm forcing her to be there because I'm not doing none of this. I'm not showing up at the competition. Bullshit.
Morgan, I know you almost tried doing that HOH too. And almost won the veto. So I don't want to hear it. But 4 for me.
Cool. Yeah. I think Morgan's score will rise moving forward, but this week wasn't it for me. Was not it for me. Okay.
Sean.
Ugh. So I hate to say it. I had high hopes. I'm disappointed.
It's the first week and he was at work during move-in. Give him a break.
I'm
Don't tip it to me.
not finished. I'm not finished. Um, I think on the whole, out of these 10 jurors, if there were no pre-existing relationships of like prior seasons, and this was just like a newbie cast, like I think Sean is the one that goes home this week. Just based on where was he, how people clicked with people. Like he didn't necessarily kill it this week.
But it's
Even
not.
when it came time for the vote and he was like wanting to keep Amina, like he even fully realized in his DR, he was like, if this was another season, I would really like push to keep Amina. However, I don't have the social pull, the social capital. I don't know where the things lie to like make it happen. And I'm like, yeah, clock it. Clock it. You don't. Because he did not set himself up well. I don't know who is riding with him. And if anything, like Vic said in her diary room, like, oh, first, like Vic is not trusting Sean. Um, I don't know. I just think a lot of people aren't fully trusting him. I think the Vic effect of that all is not happening or isn't helping. The Simona effect of it all, I think she's rightfully keeping him at a distance. Um, like they're close, they're tight, but like I think Simona really got her eye out this time, which like valid. Um, and it's funny because I think back to season 12 and he started the same way, but it was Simona that kept on like scooping him in and bringing him along, and then Sean turned it on and became this like power player. Um, and I don't necessarily know if Simona's going to be as dedicated to bring him along this time, and I'll be curious to see like say a pre-juror wins HOH. I don't know. I don't know. I'm hoping his score will rise, but I won't lie for
It's
me.
gonna rise up.
Well, yes. For me personally, I'm giving him a 3. Oops. Oops. It's a 3 from me. I just think he's so far removed from everything that is going on in this house.
I feel like so far removed is a little bit of an exaggeration. I feel like
Sure.
week one with only half the house to be removed is only being half removed, technically, because everyone else just met the whole other half of the house right now. So I'm gonna give Sean a 4. Was he the most active this week? No. And you know what? Whose fault is that? His, but also
Is,
ours
but
a little bit. So I am giving him a 4, and you said that if this was a cast of newbies, but it's not. And maybe if
it's
it was
not.
a cast of newbies, he would have tried harder, but he didn't have to try harder. Because for this week, he had Simona to lean back on, and he was traveling to Boston and then to Bermuda, all within the span of the first week. Wait, he had to work and he flew to Boston and then he flew to Bermuda in the span of the first 3 days of the game. Crazy. Um, so I'm giving him a 4, and I think Sean can come back from this, and I'm not worried.
I think he can come back from it too. I don't think this is like a death sentence bad thing, but this is just where he's at right now for me.
Oh,
Definitely
oh wait,
repeat.
I didn't look at people's diary rooms to pull up things. That would have been fun.
Granted, we did that last season because we thought we were making episodes, and then we did.
True. They're still fun.
It was fun.
Sean gave himself a
Gave himself a 4.5, I think.
4.5. That's what I thought too. I give myself a 4.5 for gameplay this week, but given my extremely extenuating circumstances, I think a 5.5 is valid, given I don't think I was anywhere near in danger.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say anywhere near in danger. Brandon threw his name out as one of the big threats and then just decided against making the move against season 12, but I think he could have been convinced to it. We'll see. I still have high hopes. This is not like I'm out on Sean. This is just where he's at right now, in my opinion. And that's my opinion. Okay.
See, I've
Uh,
had a soundboard.
great. Moving on to Simona. Okay. I Simona again. I mean, this whole cast is full of like close friends, right? But like Simona, like that's she was just up at my place in New York. We'll be hanging out with her later this week, maybe. Um, like she's we're quite close. With that being said, love to prey on her downfall. Love to do it.
You know what's good for me. That's my opinion.
Sorry, I found a good soundboard, and we're
Nice,
gonna use it.
nice. Um, love to prey on Simona's downfall because she's good, and it's because that she's so good that I love to see her fail when she does. However, she is proving that I prey on her downfall for a reason, and it's because, and I hate gassing her up. I don't actually hate it, but I do because she knows it. She is just really good, and it's annoying because this, not that this house split was specifically set up for her to fail. That's not what happened. But, but when you look, like when I was talking with Simone in the pregame, and she was guessing who might be there, both by guessing and by talking. She was like, "Oh, I think Peyton's gonna be here, and I think Brett's gonna be here, and I think Matt's gonna be here, and those are my people, and Ryan's gonna be here, and those are my people, and we're gonna rock with it." And then she walked into this house, and she immediately texted her diary, and she was like, "Fuck you guys, none of my people are here." And I was like, "Oh my God, did we do that? Our bad, our bad." Um, and then you know what she did? Put herself in the best position in this house anyway, and proved to be, I think, the best player this week because she's the only one, despite knowing people and knowing this group, just like thinking rationally nonstop. And on season 12 of BBSS, she was able to think rationally and play rationally, and no one really fought against it because no one was really doing much of anything. And this time she's playing rationally. However, she's playing rationally with chaotic people, and she got like caught up in a lie that wasn't really a lie, but things spun out of control so fast that Simona was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, that's how this is going to go. Park it. And now she's like reevaluating everything. The way that she talked to Brandon at the beginning of the week was like feeding him everything that he wanted to hear so that she'd be safe. But then in more conversation, she was like, oh, wait, I can actually work with Brandon. Wait, Diego's actually the problem. Oh, Diego's fake as fuck. Oh, this vote might be there. Oh, like, I don't know. She's really good. People are clocking. I think that she's good. She's definitely not in this house is not solid enough for me to give her a super high score. However, I will say she's going to be the only person getting a green score from me this week. I'm going to be giving Simona a 6, which is the highest score of the week here, and it's deserved, but it's still shaky. She didn't get out scot-free because scotch-free. I don't know what it is.
Scotch.
Scotch-free. I just love saying my name. So Simona is gonna get a 6 from me.
Oh no, it is
Uh,
Scott free. You're right. Wait,
oh,
no, both. Oh,
oh, um, but yeah, it's gonna be a 6 from me for Simona because she's just played the best, and it's annoying, but she's doing really well, and I'm happy for her. I'm happy for you.
I'm gonna give her a 6. Oh, neon. Okay, whoa.
This is what the color scheme was before. If you didn't want it, you shouldn't have asked for it back.
Oh, wow. Okay. Oh my gosh, I need to shield my eyes. 6. I am interested to see where Simona moves forward and who she decides to make allies with and who she decides to give more loyalty to in terms of her allies because I think she's going to have a lot of them. So it'll be interesting to see who, out of all the people she's known, will she choose to be more loyal to Sean, who she's played the past season with, to Peyton, who she's been closer with, I think, in real life, Matt, who she's been talking to more recently because of our chat that we have. Be interesting. It'll be interesting to see where she directs her loyalties. And that's all I'm going to say on that. Scott's face will say more.
Great. Yeah. Um, she's gonna kill me. Okay, and moving on. Yeah, 6 for Simona. 6 for Simona. We can't post this. Okay. Um,
I'm not. What do you?
moving on to Vic. Um, Vic, I get like I'm so middle on the road on so many people. Vic is another person this week that I think gameplay wise has stuck to her guns, made good decisions, is thinking rationally about the people that she's got, and is not playing for other people. She's playing for herself and looking out for her allies. And she made that very clear. She was like, Diego, I'm letting you know between Faven and Liz, my priority is Faven, and I'm going to be fighting to save Faven. I'm not trying, like, if your priority is Liz, that's fine, but like, I'm not voting out Faven, so don't try and get me to do that. Like, and I think that's like, I'm glad that she's able to just like stick to her guns like that. Um, when it came to this vote, she kind of got lost in the sauce of the chaos and trying to figure out where everyone was. Her and Faven, I think on the whole were the people that I was most impressed by in terms of like clocking where things were actually at and not getting lost in the chaos and mass hysteria of it all. But I think, unfortunately, she's leaving this week in a place where she doesn't trust people like Simona and Sean because of how the vote went, even though they were all on the same side. I think she's still in super tight with Diego, who I think is not, of course, not loyal to her, but I think is going to be drifting away towards other people. And that's not that he's ever going to target Liz, but like, or target Vic, um, but I don't know. So she had some good gameplay and she was in a good spot. I unfortunately may be seeing it slipping moving forward. It'll be interesting to see. I'm going to give her a 5 because I was impressed and she did well this week. However, it wasn't perfect and it's a 5, unfortunately, nearing on a 4. But I'm at a 5 and I'm going to stick to what I had pre merge. So 5 from me for Vic.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a 5 as well. Um, I think I worry for Vic a little bit moving forward because I think I have seen several people now talk about her reputation being a really good player. Um, Winning BB Snap twice, doing really well in season doing really well in season 13. I don't know what you're talking about. Um, Doing really well in season 13. I think people are starting to be like, "Oh, Vic, you're not showing it right now, but honestly, that's scaring me even more that you're not showing me how good of a player you are because I know how good of a player you are. So this week was fine for her, but I'm interested to see moving forward if she can maintain and manage that threat level and if she even knows that she has it, to be honest. So, bye for me. That's all for Studio A.
Not for Studio A. Looking forward, I think this group is a mess. I think this group is a hot fucking mess. And I think they want to be under the impression that, like, oh, okay, and now we're merging, and us jurors, we got to stick together against this pre-jury side that's going to be united. They are not on the same page at all, which I love, because this is a house full of big egos and big players that want to be doing stuff. And most of them do not have the ability to just sit back and let it ride out. Which I think is going to be interesting. I personally I love this whole group down, but I would love to see many of them get a pre-jury position. If I had to list off people that I wouldn't mind seeing go early, why not? Let's make some enemies today. Diego, I'm done. You can go.
Oh,
Morgan, I've had enough. I'm full. Sean, pick it up, bud. Simona, always preying on your downfall, queen, but you're killing it. People that I don't want going anywhere. Luke, stick around. Love you down. Luke killing it.
Luke
Vic,
win the season challenge.
Luke win the season. Vic and Faven, that duo conversation that you had at the end, I love it. Keep it up. Liz, I'm in the middle on. Brandon, I want to stick around just past the 13 people just to rub it in their face because he deserves that. Because he deserves that much after how they've played in his face after he's done nothing. I am a Brandon. Former Scott in the draft, when I played in your face, Brandon, I apologize. You're doing well. Walk it back. You're doing better than you did last time.
All right.
Yeah. We've got Studio B to talk about soon. You'll see it after next week's episodes, but we're going to record it in 2 seconds because they happen simultaneously. But that's all for now.